coming from West Africa's largest crude oil producer, the failure to supply crude oil to domestic refineries in Nigeria, including the multi-billion-dollar Dangote Refinery, has stalled the production of refined petroleum products at the facilities. This is also as the 650,000 barrels per day Dangote Refinery in Lagos missed the October production projection it had earlier set. The October production target made it the second time in 2023 that the Dangote Refinery will raise hopes of Africa, especially Nigeria, on a possible end to petrol importation. On September 20, 2023, it was reported that the Dangote Petroleum Refinery was importing crude oil and expected its first cargo in about 2 weeks, according to the Executive Director, Dangote Group, Devakumar Edwin. Now, the report stated that though the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited trades crude oil on behalf of Nigeria, Edwin revealed that the NNPCL had committed its crude to other entities. Well, this interesting development, joining us to discuss this interesting development on NC Continental Primary's development economist or economic analyst, that is Gbolahan Olojede. Gbolahan Olojede, it's a pleasure to have you once again. It's quite a bizarre situation, you might agree. How do you assess the economic implications of the failure to supply crude oil to domestic refineries from a country that sells crude oil to the world, particularly the Dangote Refinery, in terms of Nigeria's energy security and self-sufficiency?
Well, it's an unfortunate situation, but then a deal is still a deal is still a deal. So if Nigeria has already committed its crude on the certain contract, then what can it do? It must fulfill its obligation under those contracts to which it has committed the crude. The challenge will have been the level of production. The challenge is the level of production that we have. We are a country that has once been in the neighborhood of 2.5 million barrels per day. But we allowed production to slide from that level of 2.5, which was in 2005. If you pick up the curve, you will see how we have degenerated in production up until 2022. I think it bottomed out in 2022 in September, when we were able to do only 931,000 barrels, 2.5 to 931. So every calculation that we might have had about being able to provide crude to Dangote Refinery might have fallen short by virtue of our own general poor level of production. So as we rev up production, there is a chance that at some point we will be able to meet our quota for OPEC and be able to provide Dangote Refinery with crude oil for its refinery.
Gbolahan, what are the potential consequences of missing the October production target for Dangote Refinery for Nigeria's efforts to reduce petrol importation and achieve greater economic independence?
It's a major problem because what it means is that the dreams of the Dangote Refinery are not just for the promoters alone, but for all Nigerians, did not happen. Of course, there are certain level of employment now, but there will have been much more employment when it goes commercial. No doubt about that. As a matter of fact, I remember that sometimes early this year, I was doing a write-up on a particular manufacturing, which will require the waste from Dangote Refinery. But if the Dangote Refinery has not gone into operations, so you can imagine how many things that has stored. Apart from that, Dangote Refinery was also meant to help us with foreign exchange earnings as a country. So the whole idea is that by the time it's come fully on stream, Nigeria will be able to produce not just enough for its own consumption, but also to be able to export. If we're able to export, we will earn foreign exchange. So we're missing out on that possibility. The other part is that if we're able to produce, the money that we spend today, the foreign exchange we spend importing a refined product into Nigeria will have been saved. And these are some of the items that will have helped us with the issue of foreign exchange supply as a country. If we don't have to spend all that money importing refined product into this country because Dangote Refinery is just at the backyard there and it's produced, that would be fantastic. That would be a fantastic idea. And don't forget that that refinery is also co-owned by the federal government.
Interesting times, Bolahon. In your analysis, how does Nigeria, the reliance rather on importing crude oil for the Dangote Refinery, impact Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves? You've talked about that, but also importantly, how does it impact Nigeria's economic stability? The fact that Dangote now is looking at importing crude into the country.
It's a temporary thing, but definitely it hurts to see that that is what has happened. But it is still it is temporary. So over time, I believe we'll be able to provide the crude. But even if it imports crude, but it's able to refine and produce and give us refined product, we will still have had a little bit of the benefit of the entire value chain by virtue of the fact that the refining is taking place here. So there are certain jobs that are created by that simple fact. There are certain economic activities that are stimulated by that fact. And there is also the foreign exchange service. Don't forget that crude is a commodity, while the refined product is a value-add product. So the value-add product is of better value and it adds more than what crude can do. So it's still going to be a net positive for us as a country. However, we must get as fast as possible to that junction where we can benefit from both sides. We can be the provider of the crude and at the same time a beneficiary of part of the refined product in Dangote Refinery.
Bola Olojede, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure having you for this analysis.
The pleasure is mine. Thanks for having me.